to the working moms that have to pick up their kids every day, go to work, or own a business, when was the last time that you put yourself in the checklist from going to practice, from getting your employees up and running? Well, today here at A Cup of Jess, we have Jasmin, and we are excited to introduce her and also have her in the show because I am excited to hear her story. This year has been a challenge, and I've known in the back end, but I also wanted to ask Jasmin, how has it been for her? Because she is a working mom and someone that I admire her as a business owner, as a woman. Not only she is a client, but also a friend. So Jasmin, welcome to A
Hi.
Cup of Jess.
Thank
I'm
you so
excited
much.
to have you here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. A quick little intro. My name is Jasmine. I am the owner of Top Notch Garage Doors. So I own a local garage door company that installs garage doors, predominantly new construction. And I'm also one of Jessenia's clients for SAS.
Thank you so much. And whenever I asked you to be on the show, I honestly had been having you in mind because it's an interesting story because we knew each other since you pretty much had what, like 2 years into the business when we met.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, let's get going. And like the growth that you've had in the company, it's been amazing. And not only you became such a like can I don't know if I can say this, but it's a multi-million
Yeah.
dollar company that you own. But now last year you became a mom, first
Yeah.
time mom. So I was excited to have you because I want to learn a little bit about whenever I had my first baby, I was working in corporate, but now I'm like, I don't know how I would do it with a newborn. So
It's
tell
a
us a little
lot.
bit about
It's
that
a lot.
situation.
So, my daughter was born in September of 2025, so she's about to be 9 months old. And uh I feel like I spent months preparing for her birth, and I thought I was going to take it slow, and I thought that it was just going to be rainbows and sunshine.
Yes, and
And
this is great because you don't know who's listening that might be a first time mom,
yeah. Yeah,
and you
so
prepare and get that going and
yeah, so it was a lot. I don't think anything prepares you for motherhood. I've been a role of, the aunt and all that stuff for a long time, but then when you have your own baby, it's a completely different ball game. And then when you have your own baby and you have your own business to run, it could be really overwhelming, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. But we're 9 months in now, and things are a lot better. Those first few months when you're not sleeping at all, those are miserable. You don't even know day from night at some point. So,
right.
yeah.
Or what day it is.
Yeah, no. I had no idea. It almost feels like those first few weeks were just like a black hole. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It was a lot. So, yeah.
Yes, but the important thing is that you have to the way that I would prepare myself when I there was those moments is like remember that when you were pregnant, you wanted this. You
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
meet this little person and how things were going to go and you just have to keep it's a mentality thing and also emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Because it can be a lot like a huge toll on you. But one thing that I also admire about you is that you are also not forgetting about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're doing, for example, volleyball.
Mhm.
That's something that you have always played.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your.
So I think one of the most important things, when you're at the beginning of motherhood, the
Mhm.
first few months, I feel like maybe those don't really count towards, what I'm going to go into. But um, I think it's important that you find some time to pour into yourself, whether that's working out, whether that's going to Pilates, or whether that's going to play volleyball,
Right.
whatever. Because if you pour everything into one cup, if everything is going into just being a mom, you're very quickly going to start feeling bad about yourself. And I just don't think you can give your child maybe like the 100% that you could if you felt better. And so, like, for me, I gained a lot of weight through pregnancy, and one of my biggest things postpartum was like I don't feel like myself. I don't look like myself. And so it was really important to me as soon as I was able to get back into the gym and start working out and start playing volleyball again. And by no means am I anywhere skill wise where I was pre-pregnancy, but I feel better, and it's really cool because I get to bring my daughter with me to go play, and I just put her in a playpen and let her, play in the sand or whatever. And she has the time of her life too. But it's really cool because she's already so little and getting used to the environment. And hopefully one day she'll want to play with me. That'd be so
Exactly.
cool.
No, that's amazing. And that's something that I even if it's for your self-care or work, things like that, I feel like if you bring the kids and bring them along or get them involved, they'll understand the why,
Yeah.
right? And then I know that you started your business back in
2016.
2016, and then now she was born in 2025. So
Mhm.
do you think that your why has changed? Like your why of like continuing the business, your every day getting up early and just not giving up?
So that's tough because one of the biggest reasons I ever decided to start my own company was because I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but I never wanted to be a mom that I was going to have to clock in for a 9 to 5. And I knew that from the very beginning. So when I started my business, I didn't really know where life was going to take me. Obviously, I had no idea that, I was going to be able to grow this business to what it is now, but I always knew that like I wanted to be a mom that's present in her baby's life, and I don't want to have to drop her off, at school or daycare for a majority of the day. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I feel like I was really intentional so long before giving birth that I was in a better situation when the time came for me to become a mom, because I already had my business. It was already somewhat kind of running its on its own. And then I could really just kind of, be present in those first few months of motherhood.
Right. And I mean, honestly, what you did was amazing because you prepped yourself as,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to get this business going and I am going to prep, like you said, for the baby to come
Mhm.
and everything that happened, right? So in a way that, let's say we have those mompreneurs or working moms and that they feel stuck and or they feel that they're not giving enough time to their babies, or I mean, is there anything that you tell yourself to get you out of that funk?
Yeah. I think mom guilt is probably something that our current generation feels a little more than maybe previous generations,
Mhm.
because social media has this way of playing with your feelings and making you feel like you're never doing enough, whether it's a mom, a business owner, whatever the
I
aspect
agree.
is. And so I don't know. I think it's weird because, like, my mom, for example, I don't feel like she ever had mom guilt. Like, she dropped me off and was like, see you later?
Yes.
And so I think now in this time of social media, we're in a constant battle with not only ourselves, but like
Mhm.
this life that we think we have to live. And so I don't know. When I feel like I'm getting down on myself, I try to be a little vulnerable. I try to post something and talk about things that I'm going through. And I also try to just kind of look at the bigger picture. And, I don't think that my daughter is going to, obviously right now she's just a baby, but as she
Right.
grows and as I continue the same lifestyle, I don't think she's ever going to grow up and look back and be like, my mom didn't chase her dream because she was my mom. She's always going to feel like my mom chased her dreams with me right next to her. And
Correct.
so I feel like I kind of just lean into that whenever I get down about like that mom guilt. 'Cause it's real and it'll eat you alive.
Yes. No, and then even for me, like in the beginning, it was just hard because whenever I started the business, Sophia was 6 months. So at that time, it was all about that's where I probably did wrong in a way that I focused so much in the business
Mhm.
because it was just starting. It was just like I needed to get it going in order for me to provide as well,
Yeah.
right? And the good thing is that I had so much support from the family, my husband and everything. So it takes a village, right? To
Mhm.
also have a baby and the kids and everything, but not not to forget that they grow so fast. And that's something, like, I think I
Yeah.
told you in the beginning too, is like, enjoy her, because next thing you know, she's gonna be one, and
Mhm.
then she's gonna be walking, she's gonna be so independent. But also not to forget that why you're doing it, and not to forget to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Because I did do that mistake in the beginning, that I'm like, he gets like, I'm working. And next thing you know, like, my oldest is going to high school in
Mm.
August. So I'm just like that. This summer, I feel like I'm just like, let me just take it easy. Let me just spend time with them, and not let that mom guilt later
Mhm.
on, like, bite me, right?
I don't think it was a mistake because I think, you did what you thought was best in that time. So like maybe
Yes.
you're a little hard on yourself now, but you know, there's there's no right way to do
Yeah.
things. You did what you thought was best, and you still have plenty of time to enjoy your children and still be able to, be there with them. But now you have a nice business
Thank
together. So,
you.
I feel like we do the best with the cards we're dealt in that time. And it's not always, 5 years later, maybe you don't feel the exact same way, but you did your best in that moment.
Right.
And that's
Right.
where you have to give yourself a little bit of
Thank
grace.
you.
A little
And
bit.
that's something that's why I've always, I appreciate you so much, because you've always been there, like, supporting no matter what, and events, and as we support each other,
Yeah.
of course. And then, like, for example, I needed 2 garage doors a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, "Don't worry, I got you." So that's also how mom entrepreneurs and businesswoman should collaborate, like,
Yeah.
should be here to help each other. And even though, and it's funny to me, I was telling the girls that even though we don't talk every day, we can just pick up the phone and be like, okay, you need this, okay, I
Yeah.
got you, like, no problem. And it's important to have those type of people around you as a working mom. And now also I want to shift it a little bit in the construction world, right?
Yeah.
Because for you, it's like, yes, you have your business, but not only you have a business, but it's in the construction world, which male dominant
Mhm.
is still there, right?
Yeah.
But even though, like, what is the percentage? I think it's grown
It's still
for the
very
woman in
small.
construction. So
It's
kudos.
still very, very small.
Yeah.
I think that it's maybe closer to like 10% or something, but it's not anything anywhere near being equal. It's still very, very
Yes.
male dominant.
So
Um,
what was some of the challenges in the beginning, as like, you coming out, and like, trying to build a business, and
yeah.
just being in that world?
So when I first started my company, I worked mostly with homeowners, and it's. I feel like it's almost two separate companies. I feel like I had one company in the beginning, and then when I transitioned to working with home builders in 2021 ish, I feel like almost like I started another company or a separate company because it's just two different ball games.
Right.
So when I did start working with home builders, I think the biggest challenge that I had, it was never the client or the builder. It was always myself. It was
Mm.
always me thinking like, they're not going to want to hire some girl. Like, what? And at that time, I mean, 2021, we're talking, I'm still young. How old am I? 2021. I'm 24 at that time.
Wow.
And I'm trying to convince these people that are building $1 million homes to hire me, when they have a company who's been around longer than I've been alive doing their
Right.
installs. And so while I do think that there are some challenges, making sure that you are the most cost effective and you're offering a good service and all those things, while those are their own challenges of like owning a business, the challenge of being a woman was more something that existed in my own head than in real life. Because when I started talking to these men, I never had like a crazy difficult time getting my point across because at the end of the day, um, you know, whether you're a man or a woman, when you start speaking the language of the work that you are a professional in, you can tell if this person is legit or not. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'll give you an example. If you are, you know, doing an interview or something and somebody's asking you questions about taxes and, when you start talking about the difference in contractors and W-2 payments versus 1099s and stuff, people are going to be like, oh, she knows what she's talking about,
Correct.
right? And if you hear somebody that's a tax professional, when you start hearing them speak, if they start saying all this kinds of crazy things, you're going to look and you're going to be like, maybe they're not the professional that they say that they are,
Correct.
right? And so that's kind of how it is in construction, like maybe in the beginning, those home builders were skeptical about giving me a chance, but there's not a builder that I've ever worked for that can say like she doesn't know what she's doing because I do, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right. No, and that's awesome. And that's something that I always tell people and clients, I'm like, stay in your lane as like your specialty,
Yeah.
right? Because I would rather come to you that you know about garage doors than somebody that is like, oh, a multi-service, we do
Yeah.
it all. Like, I'm like, no, I need like
Yeah.
the garage door to be installed correctly.
Yeah.
That's what we need. But going back as a working mom in these 9 months, what do you think it's been the most challenging moment of your life that with the business, with the baby, the house and everything? So
Oh
in
man.
how you were able to just lift yourself back up.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I feel like that's a tough one. So when my daughter had her surgery, that was a lot because it was like I was 17 days postpartum. She had an open chest surgery. And at the same time, I was trying to run a business. And I remember 1 hour after I had an emergency C-section that I was on the phone with a client because they would not stop calling me. And I literally was like talking to them on the phone and I was like, I'm gonna have to call you back. And then I put my phone down and I projectile vomited. Like 1 hour post surgery.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yeah, because that's what
I'm not
anesthesia will do
even
to
like
you.
gonna tell you anything because I would do the same. Like, I'll call you
I'll
back.
call you right back.
Yeah.
And then the nurse is like, you need to get off of the phone. So, like, I think there was definitely a big challenge there. And then at the exact same time, I did step away from the business for a couple of weeks to get all that figured out. But then when I got back into the business, I almost didn't recognize the business I had built anymore because I think I spent all of my pregnancy trying to build the business that I envisioned would look successful. And I feel like I veered off of the path that I wanted to be on. And by that, I
Mhm.
mean, I hired a bunch of people that I don't think I really needed. I feel like I just hired people to fill an office, not to necessarily, complete the tasks needed.
Correct.
Um, I feel like I just on the outside, the company looked so pretty and it looked great and well put together, but on the inside, it was just not good decisions. And so when I finally was able to come back to work fully,
Mhm.
um, I had to make a lot of tough decisions. And, we're in the process of like restructuring and changing the way we're running things. And our operations look a little different now because I don't know if it's the times have changed, or I don't know why, but something is just like not feeling 100% right with what worked for me a couple years ago.
Correct.
And so I don't know if it's hard for me to tell if it's something that's just normal in business because I know a lot of business owners they pivot every couple of years and things they change and they revolve and they restructure.
Evolve and
So it's
all
hard
that
to
stuff.
tell like is this happening because it's just natural within the business or is all of this happening because of the current state of, life right now
And
and just the
sometimes you need
market?
that step away from your company to see like the outside, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. I had never stepped away for so long, but then when I had the baby and all that stuff happened, I didn't have a choice but to step away. And I was just telling the girls earlier, it was like at that time, the only thing that mattered was my daughter, right? And so for the first time since I've started the company, I fully let it go. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on. But I'm focusing on my daughter. And then when I got back and my daughter was healthy and everything was fine, it was the first time I saw the big picture, and I was like, I don't like this picture anymore. It's not the picture I thought it was. Um, and so yeah, I mean, those changes are all happening slowly but surely. And it is probably a little bit of a mixture of like just a pivot within the business, but then also like adapting to the current market. I
Correct.
work in new construction,
Mm-hmm.
so um, we have a very broad range of customers. We have customers who are buying their first home. We have customers who are buying their first home, and they're on a budget, and they're probably buying $100,000 to $200,000 house. And then we have clients who are building a $10 million house and paying cash for it. And so, with that broad range of customers, there's a big difference in workflow. Those clients that are buying those smaller houses, those are like track home builders. And so, if you notice, there's been a big slowdown from like big home builders because they
Correct.
just too many things are sitting on the market. They're not selling all that stuff. But then,
So does that affect you guys too?
yeah,
Or are you tackling more of like the residents that have what, like 10 or 20-year-old homes that have
yeah.
never changed their garage or
No, we don't do any of that. So
no?
all of ours is new
New
construction.
construction. Okay.
Yeah. And so, like those home builders on this, building the smaller homes, they're being affected by the current market,
Hmm.
and so like we're fortunate that we have some clients that are building, like I said, $10 million houses,
Right.
and those houses are going to continue to be built. But there are a lot of people who are struggling to purchase houses in today's market. And so
Right.
that just affects everyone. It affects all the trades, it affects the builders, it affects the realtors. It's all intertwined.
Right. Right. How do you feel about AI right now? Like I honestly feel that trade is the like it's going to be always there, right?
Yeah.
But has it impacted your business in a positive or negative way?
I love AI. I use AI for everything. I'm actually in the middle of using AI to create me a virtual assistant that's going to run all of my administrative tasks. So, I mean, if you've never heard of certain websites like Claude, for example, that's a
Correct.
great system to use. And you can build yourself an AI bot. Like, I think the people who are looking into AI now or who have already been using AI and implementing it, I think that they're going to be significantly ahead of those who are against it in the next year or two.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And these are changes as in the business world, and you have to be get on the wave because
Yeah.
it's like whenever the websites came out, like people were like, no, we don't need a website, but then the website became your business card. People would
Hmm.
like Google or actually search your website, but now it's like, okay, if you have AI available, then why not use it, right? Like for example, our system with Centavos, it is going to be 70% AI, but 30% human intelligence, because I do also think that we need this
Yeah.
the human interaction as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that finding a way to implement AI and take some stress off of you as a business owner is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself.
yeah,
Just because running a business is already hard. And so I don't know. I feel like I've almost become dependent on AI because I'll like go in there and I'll like, what should I do? Like, what would
yes,
you do? And so my little conversation with chat will, if you go through it, chat is telling me all these changes to make, all these different things. And I mean, it it's really a game changer, truthfully.
yes. No, I am grateful for the information. I'm grateful for you being here. Like I said, I appreciate you so much as a business owner, as a friend, as a mom. So, but before we leave, I do want to ask, like, what would you tell that mom that might be watching right now or hearing our podcast that just had a baby. She's also either trying to build a business or running a business, and she is feeling overwhelmed based on your experience or what your advice would be?
I saw this post a couple weeks ago, and I think that it completely rewired my brain. And so it was a speech from a college graduation, and the lady speaking was just saying that anytime she's succeeding in one aspect of her life, she's failing in a different aspect. And she has just come to terms with being okay, succeeding and failing simultaneously. And I think that that is now what I kind of lean towards is there are days that I'm succeeding as a mother and I spent the entire day playing with my baby and she had the best naps and all that stuff. But then there are days that she has to stay home with a nanny and I have to go run a business. And, where it looks like somebody is succeeding at something, they're probably also failing at something else, and that's okay. And I think finding that balance is what's going to kind of keep each day feeling like you're going to be okay.
And how would you put yourself on the checklist?
Oh man, what checklist? What do you
Your
mean?
checklist of things that you have to do. Where does Jasmine come in?
I do a very good job of finding time for myself every single day. And
Perfect.
so, like, I'm an athlete and my entire life has been rooted on schedules and discipline. And so, whether I'm working out at 5 a.m., whether I'm working out at 2 p.m., whether I'm playing volleyball at 8 p.m., like something, I'm doing something for myself each and every day. And, that's on that checklist too.
Awesome. So you already heard that it is crucial that you are not being hard on ourselves because not every day we can be have an A plus in all aspects of our lives,
Yeah.
right? So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I love you. And I hope to see you guys at our next episode at a Cup of Jess. I'm also gonna put Jasmine's information and her business information on the link below. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
You can